So, welcome everyone. I'm Alexander Mihalcea, and today we have one of the industry leaders, Alvaro Daza, founder and CEO of the Circolo, a global leader in creating the biggest and the latest and one of the lifetime experiences. Welcome, Alvaro. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much, Alex. I'm doing great. Here in Abu Dhabi, the day is sunny and also wonderful.
Awesome, awesome. And I'm excited to have you on the podcast today, and I'm sure you're going to be of great value for the audience. Now, before we dive in, could you give us a quick overview of what Circolo does?
Yes, of course. Well, Circolo essentially provides support in ideation, design, management, execution, and deployment um, of experiences around the world, around the globe. These kind of experiences are events, spaces, and digital products. And we supply this for governments, the companies, and organizations who are usually global and have the need of a one-stop solution for all the things they produce every year around the globe.
Okay, okay, that's fascinating. And what inspired you to create Circolo? Was there a specific moment or experience that sparked this journey?
Yes, so there are like two parts of it. One, I'm an architect by education. I studied architecture, and then my specialty is experience design and hospitality. And I noticed how, in most of the cases for companies that were global, every time that they needed to execute, for example, an event or design a space or create a pop-up or even send merch to their clients, they will have to contact several vendors, especially if this is in different countries. If you had one country, usually you hire five different vendors to execute an event. Now imagine if your company is supplying or is producing events in 30 different countries, leave
Yeah,
alone the fact that probably you need to distribute merch across all these events. You don't want to have different types of quality. You don't want to have different types of execution or logistics or standards. You want to have always the same, right?
right.
Or something that feels like the same. And there are not actually companies in the world that can provide something like this. Because of that, our aim then on the other side was like we knew that there were local companies who were actually very good at what they do, but they would not have the bandwidth or the capacity of reaching out to big companies because of their capacity for contracting or because of their current infrastructure or because of any reason. But they were very good. They were made by locals and so on. What we decided was to connect all these local companies around the globe on a database and start offering these services to current clients we had back then. These were essentially people in government and then hospitality companies. And then, as we realized that this was growing, we learned that there were other communities, the online communities or the tech companies, who actually have distributed teams around the world and need exactly the same.
Yeah.
But the thing that they have is that most of these teams, or many of these teams, they don't know each other in real life.
Hmm.
So we added another component, and this component was as well the curation of the community and helping them to connect between each other. As a result of that, we essentially created a company that can connect suppliers all around the world, curate experiences all around the world in one stop. You literally, instead of going to different suppliers, 5, 10, 15 different suppliers every time you're going to host an event, you just come to us and we do all the magic for you, regardless of where the destination is.
Interesting, interesting. So, for example, what was your background before starting this venture?
So I started architecture, as I mentioned earlier. After finishing architecture, I got involved in different initiatives. One of those was the Colombian Entrepreneurship and Innovation Alliance. I was one of the co-founders together with the founder of the Ministry of Science of Colombia. We created the first association in the country that gathered people from the private sector, the government, and other institutions to give support to entrepreneurs through a platform that we hosted every week, where entrepreneurs will come
Yeah.
and talk about their ideas, then we will give them support. Through our platform, many of the unicorns or unicorns that our country has pass. And back then, there was not really a scene about entrepreneurship or around entrepreneurship. We as well managed to incentivize them with different initiatives after that. I had the privilege of being invited to the multi-table party that created the first public policy for entrepreneurship in Latin America. And then, as a result of this, I was invited for a tech talk and other things around the world to talk about community as a product in places like Harvard, MIT, HSM, and more than 30 universities worldwide. And funny enough, while the COVID happened, I've also explored creating cultural events for governments or embassies and so on through a series of events in Kenya. Just to give you a context, before starting Circolo, or Circolo is a result of a moment in my life in which, after co-creating the entrepreneurship initiatives, I wanted to connect with people around the world. And
Hmm.
I started a journey called Together Podemos that essentially consisted in giving these kind of bracelets to people who were bringing change to communities. And in that way, I managed to travel to 64 countries in 1 year and gave 26,000 bracelets to different people around the world. Um, I think that this deep understanding of community plus the corporate world plus other things like helped me to find this connection or realize that the world is not anymore the world that we learned we had. Is more work composed by communities that are remote and they all need similar solutions but they are disconnected, right?
Yeah.
So this is why I think we have started doing initially community events, then providing solutions, then some tech to support that things that we were creating. And well, currently we have this one-stop solution for everyone.
Okay, interesting, interesting. And for example, I have a curiosity. So, how does Circolo define unconventional events?
So the thing is that we live in this time in history. It's so interesting. The time in history that we live in is kind of a altered reality, right? Like we kind of live in these altered states of mind constantly because we live in an intersection between the digital and the real world.
Yeah,
And for many people who grew up without social media, the boomer generation, it's normal to meet in real life. For people who grew up when social media started, the millennials, like myself, is still normal to meet in real life, but at the same time, kind of like fun to make friends online. And also for other people who grew up in the times of internet and social media, meeting in real life is, well, strange to some extent. And there is a reason to that. And it's that, well, for example, in my case, when I was growing up, I used to play sports with my neighbors, and all the kids will go to the street and like play football or anything, and we just meet random people in the street and we start talking. For this generation, almost all the connections start online. And for the new companies that you have in the world, where you have teams that don't even know each other like for 2 or 3 years, and when
yeah,
they finally meet in person, um, what you have is people living a life that is entertaining because there is overstimulation via information. So all the things that you live online have so much component and so many components and so much interesting facts that life as it is in real life almost feels boring,
right.
right? So whenever somebody asks us for an experience that is unconventional, what we try to think is, how do we make people feel as if they were living a video game,
Yeah,
as if they were dreaming, right? How do we create for them, yes, relatability that is very important in experience design, something that they can feel they're connected to, belonging that is very important because they need to be part of the community. But the third aspect that is very important is certainty. I want people to question their existence. I want people to feel that what they just live cannot be real, but somehow was real because they were there,
yeah,
right? And to give you examples, last year we hosted a conference in the middle of the air for 9 hours between Dubai and Singapore for on a Boeing 777 from Qatar Airways, and with Redacted, Polygon, and other people from different tech companies from around the world. It was the first time that 320 of the most influential individuals in Web3, many of them influencers or founders of companies or so on, will meet in the same place. But the meeting place was a plane. right? And this place was transformed in a
Yeah.
conference room for 9 hours between Dubai and Singapore. How surreal is this? The other example I can give you is this year we hosted a dinner in the middle of the desert. And the challenge for this dinner was not itself the event. The event sounds simple, but what if I bring 49 of the most successful entrepreneurs in the world? These are publicly listed companies, these are unicorns, these are, of course, royals, like different people and people in entertainment and so on. What if I bring 49 of the most influential people in the world to the same place in the desert, but I don't tell them where the event is happening, who is coming there, and what is happening, right? So the mission was to get all these people to jump on a limo that was picking them up at the door of their house, and for them to go to a destination that it's unknown. They wouldn't
Yeah,
know
right.
where they're, right? And then they would live an experience. So these kind of things again that play with the minds of people, because this dinner was in the middle of the desert, and the day after, if you pass by the same place, you will not see again the
Yeah, right.
restaurant that was set up only for that, right? So
Interesting.
these kind of things that again play with the reality and make people feel that they are not sure if this is real or
Hmm.
not are very important, because what we aim for is to connect people in real life so that they make true connections with other people, and they end up as well like having that component of the reality that beyond digital, it's also experiential.
Yeah, right, right. And now let's go back to when you first started. So, what major challenges or gaps did you see in the market that made you think this needs to be solved?
Actually, I think there was this evolution,
Yeah.
and in the concept initially what we thought is that we needed to solve problems for digital nomads. And this is because I travel very often, and I realized that over 40 million people does exactly the same. They're traveling all the world, literally every time, all the time, and they don't have a fixed place to stay. So we thought that the solution was for digital nomads. Then we realized that many of this universe of 40 million people, many of these people are actually just looking for cheap accommodations and cheap flights, because they need to, of course, use their money wisely, or because they want to save some money and things. But then we noticed that there was another part of this community that was underserved, and these are the global companies that need to relocate teams, the governments that have embassies around the world, or investment agencies, the hospitality groups that now need to rethink the experience they offer the customers and the guests, because now people don't stay only for pleasure, they also want to work from a place.
Right.
And because of this, we realized that we needed to co-create for them experiences instead of offer them logistic solutions. And that, I think, was the main difference. Um, and we realized this as we tested different products and as we tested different things. It was not something that came immediately.
Okay, I see. And for example, how do you elevate every detail of an event to create a truly immersive experience? Because you mentioned it, and this is very important and interesting as well.
Well, every event has a different objective, right? And it depends on, first of all, if we have an external customer, someone hired us, which is most of the case, the reality to do something. If we have someone external who's called us to do an event, the first thing that we want to know is what is it that they want to achieve with an experience, right?
Hmm.
Somebody hires us to create a space like a hotel or a restaurant or mall or coffee. We ask them exactly the same question: how do they want people to interact with the brand or with the things there? And if somebody wants a product, a digital product, a piece of merch, or something that can like complement the experience, what we want to know is how do they want people to use the product. Based on that, we define the objective. Based on that, we define the type of experience that we do. As well, the next thing that we try to understand is the audience. It's not the same if we are designing an event for people, for example, in tech. that is, if we are designing an event for people who are into finance. And the reason why
Yeah.
is because um, people in tech, for example, they don't usually get surprised by things that are highly innovative, like an LED screen, or I mean, or like a hologram, or things that are, these things are common. These things are the things that they see on a daily basis, right? Something that
Right.
is like, again, oh yeah, fine, nice. This is what I do in my job. So what I want to do is disconnect them like from that. So what I look for is the most exotic thing that I can make them live that they cannot do with their hands, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's a piece of food, whether it's a location, or whether it's a texture, whether it's like an artist performance, something that can make them feel like, oh wow, this is the other side of the world that I never interact with.
Right.
The same thing then for the people in finance, because for people in finance, probably anything that is like a private dinner or anything that is an event, I don't know, that has a specific type of menu or a specific type of art is the most normal thing in their world. This is what they live on a daily basis,
Yeah.
right? They're invited to dinners, they're invited to lunches, they're invited to chefs, chef tables, and so on. I want them to feel the technology. I want them to interact with smellings. I want them to interact with textures, with places that take life or become alive based on the vibration of their brain waves or
Yeah.
something like that, right? So depending on the customer, I need to create something that contrasts with the
Hmm.
reality they actually are living. Then after that, yes, I do create familiarity. So yes, not everything can be innovation because then I will create uncomfortability.
Right.
Something has to be relatable. Something needs to feel to make them feel close to home, right? So it's either the language that I talk about that I talk or the way I communicate with them? Is it the things that I do throughout the event? Is it the people that I have invited, right? Is it the content? So whatever is something that makes them feel that yes, they are living something highly innovative, but at the same time they feel like
Yeah.
home. It's very important. And then the third part is the to be continue effect. The to be continue effect is something personalized that I can give to people that people will feel they cannot find anywhere else, so they can remember me and remember as well the people they met in the event. Just to give you an example, we hosted an event for one of our clients in a museum that, by the way, cannot be rented usually. And this was an event for only 30 people. The whole point of this event, or the whole point of this experience, was to make sure that people left the place um, impressed or surprised.
Hmm.
And what we did is, with all the guest lists, we hired a perfume company. We got them printing the names of the people in the bottles. And when people will not know that they have this waiting for them.
Yeah.
So when they came to the place, they will be asked what is their favorite smelling and so on. And they will create their own perfumes, right?
Interesting.
And they will get their own perfumes after leaving the experience, but the perfumes, the bottle of the perfumes will have their name. So for people, this is like, how did you get my name, right? Like for us, it's simple. It's just giving the guest list to them. But
Yeah.
somebody who is in the journey, they will not imagine that there was a logistics behind this.
Yeah. Right.
So they will get a perfume bottle branded with their own name, right? That make them remember and that make them feel as well that they were part of something. So you have both components, something that was made from like by them for them as well, and that they can take home.
Yeah. Interesting and very interesting approach. Honestly.
Yeah.
And what role does community building play in Circolo's approach?
I think that's the most important part of actually our existence. We like to call ourselves the community of communities, and this is because what we believe is that anyone in the world should have the capacity to create the best possible experiences. And the reason why this happens, or the reason why we believe that, is because if you notice, what probably changed your life, or and what probably changed the lives of anyone in general, it's not necessarily the space that you live in, or the clothes that you are wearing, or the people that you know. What actually changed your life, your your life is or are the moments.
Yeah.
Whenever you open a box for the first time and you find a color that you like, whenever you give a kiss for the first time, whenever you visit the sea for the first time, right? Like those first times or those moments when you, for example, had a bad experience before and then somebody make you have much better experience in that specific place, right? That moment, the moments are the ones that shape your mind. It's called shape narrative and make you feel in a certain way. So what we believe is that if we want to increase the consciousness of people or the level of consciousness of people, we need to influence or curate the moments they live.
Hmm.
And to curate the moments they live, we need to make sure that we interact with communities that
Yeah.
can actually drive a narrative or that can actually tell a story. Because moments are pretty much shaped by the stories you tell yourself and that you tell to others. When you went to the sea for the first time, you look at it, you see that this is so big and so amazing, and probably you feel different things, right? Now, whatever has happened around it, you saw a kid running, or you saw somebody else kissing, or you were just by yourself, naked in the middle in front of the ocean. Like whatever happened around that is what helps you tell a story to yourself, right? Make a story in your
Yeah.
mind and tell a story to others that makes them feel happy as well. So now imagine if this is told by 500 people at the same time, 5,000 people at the same time. If you make them live a moment that is defining, that shapes the way they think, the way they connect, the way they interact. That's why for us, communities are the most important part of our approach because if we can curate collective moments, then we will be giving people the opportunity to change their mind. Now,
Hmm.
this is extrapolated to entrepreneurs. Imagine if an entrepreneur was saving 3 months to go to this very big event that is hosted by a government or a company or so on. And in this event, everything is given for this entrepreneur to find funding or to
Yeah.
find the love of his life or to find a solution to the idea that he had, right? Like, or to the problem that he was dealing with. Imagine if everything in this event is curated for him to meet the right people, to connect with the right funders, to connect with the right funding, to interact or to sell the products or to fall in love. The moment that this happens for one founder, everything changes for that person. The moment that this happens for 5,000 people, for 500,000 people, right? They become multipliers of change or good.
Yeah.
And then if we are responsible enough and we do good thing, if we do the things in a good way enough, then we will be seeing how in real life experiences can actually shape the way how people interact with the world in a positive way.
Right, right, right. Very interesting. And for example, walk us through how Circolo addresses these challenges. What makes your approach unique?
I think that what makes us unique is the perspective of us not using tech to connect with people, is connecting with people and using different tools, including tech, to leverage those connections in real life.
Hmm.
That on one side. And on another side, I think that is our approach to instead of bringing a solution that expands all over the world and becomes I don't know, a competition for local ecosystems. It's becoming that enabler of local vendors and local ecosystems to actually thrive and sell their products to other people they never thought of, right? Empower companies to being able to execute any project anywhere in the world of any size, being able to integrate or connect that community aspect with the projects we do so that people can also have a much better mindset whenever they live any of our experiences, and
Yeah,
ultimately to provide value by offering this one-stop solution that not only connects vendors locally, globally, not only empowers companies to go everywhere in the world, that not only curates moments for people, but that as well is a 200-year vision that we expect to evolve and to become the ultimately lifestyle curation of everyone.
okay, okay, see. And for example, how is sustainability integrated into Circolo's event design and material selection?
So for us, Um, to give you an example, usually when somebody's organizing an event, they of course need to travel or they need to travel or to take all their team there. Sometimes if you have a specific standards, especially if you're a big company, you will want to travel with your vendor to that destination. So you of course need to ship equipment and different things all over the world. And or you will need to spend a lot of money in back and forth, right? Like going to destinations and come back from destination. That create, of course, a huge carbon footprint. Another thing is that many event companies usually have a main team that is based out of somewhere specifically. And whenever there is an event globally, they have to travel or they go somewhere and they create things. Our approach is a bit different. What we do is we have first of all a distributed team. Our company is 100% remote.
Yeah.
Our team is distributed all across the world. The second thing is we try to enhance the capacity of our team using technology, meaning that instead of having a huge team that, of course, is consuming lots of resources and probably sometimes is not needed, what we do is we have a team that is big enough to support all the 83 countries, and then the other things are connected with technology. And the last part is that thanks to that condition of being remote and have a team that is supported by technology, instead of having a huge amount of equipment that we transport everywhere in the world, we have a huge network of suppliers globally that locally can provide for us exactly the same quality and that
Hmm.
help the clients save all that money that they usually spend visiting a destination,
Yeah.
trying to assess, to curate a vendor, to check a venue, to do different things, but that help us support them in that mission. To give you an example, or to give you data, in the past couple of years, we've offset more than 8,750 tons of emissions,
Hmm.
thanks to our remote approach. This is recognized by different institutions here in the UAE and in other parts of the world. And it's ultimately because what we do is essentially distribute a team globally that can solve any problem all over the world
Yeah.
thanks to a connection or a network of suppliers that are ready to provide solutions.
Yeah, I see now. And for example, when you talk to potential clients, what's the biggest misconception they typically have about what you do?
The first thing is that people tend to think that what we do is events. And well, what we do is not, we don't necessarily do events, but what we do is provide logistic solutions, right? So there's a difference between doing events and providing solutions. Usually, event companies, they specifically supply equipment and they perhaps supply decoration and they do some advisory-ish
Yeah.
in to creating the event. We don't do that. We have a professional approach to it. All our team is professional, first of all, in different disciplines: architecture, marketing, design, interiors, production, logistics, and different things. Um, the second thing is that what we do is more being able to provide a one-stop solution. So then people don't need to contact 5 or 10 different vendors. They only contact us. So that's another thing that we do that is very different to organizing only events. And the third thing is that besides events, we also do spaces or, yeah, like as I mentioned, like anything that is hospitality, like hotels, restaurants, coffee shops, malls. And as well, we do digital products. These are merch that, for example, has technology embedded, or this is, for example, white label coffee that you need for events, right?
Yeah.
Because in every event you have coffee and you have water. So it's like these kind of things we do as well. And again, like more or besides or beyond being an events company, we also do spaces, we also do products, but we try not to box it in. We do events, we do experiences, and to do those experiences, we are a logistics solution supplier that can help you execute anything anywhere in the world.
Okay, okay, I see. And also, could you share a specific success story of a client who saw significant results using your solution?
Yes, I think I like always to mention my clients from PG or Redacted. They they came to us with the idea of the plane, and Well, when we heard about it, we are like, okay, fine, that sounds nice. But then there are different avenues to do that. One is, of course, to rent a private jet and that's it, right? But the whole point of making a statement was to get a company, an actual commercial company, to provide us a plane.
Yeah.
And that is not the easiest thing. Most of these companies are state owned. And well, to actually find this plane was already a task. Of course, it was like 2 months of conversations with different airlines until when we finally found a great partner in Qatar for doing this. And then after hosting or after having the plane, the day when we were supposed to fly, 6 hours before, we were notified that the plane was canceled, that there was
Hmm.
no, that we couldn't fly from the airport that we were supposed to fly. The license was not approved, and we had to find another way to fly.
Yeah.
And fun enough, in more or less 2 hours, we managed to find a replacement airport in the same country, right? A replacement plane in the same country. And we ended up again departing on time, arriving on time, doing the event as it was. I
Hmm.
think the logistics of something like that are very specific, mostly because we also had 300 people flying in the country from 40 different countries.
Yeah.
What could have happened if we had all these people coming in the country and then in the end not flying? It's unimaginable,
Right.
right? Like as well because these people are highly influential on social media, they could have been like a lot of backlash and so on. And as well because the value promise that we offer is to make sure that we solve problems, right? So it was unlikely that any other company will have been able to find a plane that was exactly the same conditions or the
Yeah.
same capacity and to fly on time the same day from an airport in the same country. But we did it and it was very exciting.
Yeah, it's interesting. And now, looking at the broader industry, what key trends are you seeing emerge?
Trends. I think that now, again, definitely the in real life experiences are taking over. And I try to always explain people that while many people are investing in technology um, and softwares and data centers and things like that, which is great, this is infrastructure for the world and it's needed. The next big thing are going to be in real life experiences, in real
Yeah.
life moments. Um, Things that make people reconnect in real life. And you see that because, well, Gen Zs are starting to not use, for example, dating apps. People are starting to reconnect in real life and enjoy outdoor activities, run, integrate with others. They're trying to go to mixers, they're trying to go to things. And this is a manifestation of essentially a need that there is in the world to relax a bit and desaturate from the abundance of information on social media. So the main thing that is going to happen in the next couple of years is that people are going to be back to in real life experiences. The second thing that I believe is going to happen is that we are going to have influential communities taking more and more over. The area of influence via person, via people, has evolved a bit, and we are moving from having influencers to now having communities, defining markets, defining consumption, consumer behavior, defining the different things. And this is a very important paradigm because now there will be the need of having services tailored for those communities, right? These are places to stay, these are things to do, these are experiences to live, this is technology to have for communities specifically. These communities will probably evolve to be in network states. This is something that it's been started over the past couple of years. And the last part, I think, or the third thing that I would say, my top three of trends is definitely the use of AI as a tool for productivity rather than a tool for replacement. Many people used to think that AI would replace their jobs and so on, but you only need to see the trends and how, when the calculator was invented, the people who were working with abacus they would feel scared, and when the spreadsheets came as a software, the accountants would like
Yeah.
feel threatened. because they will be replaced. But I mean, that didn't happen. What happened is that people learned to use technology for their advantage, and they learn to use the technology on like to leverage their own skills and to make sure that they deliver faster, better, and with more quality. That is one thing that is going to happen thanks to AI, and the other thing that is going to happen is that things that are handmade, that are based out of creativity, that are irreplaceable, and that are unique, are going to be much more demanded than ever. Because all those things not only will have more meaning, but as well will give us that sense, as I mentioned before, of relatability that we are craving for.
Right, right, right. And what do you think most business owners are getting wrong when they're trying to address this specific problem?
I think that many people, when they're trying to host experiences or to connect their communities, they try to respond to the idea of pleasure as the main driver. And this is why you have most tech companies hosting yacht parties.
Hmm.
And that's it. That's why you have I don't know, most people hosting a networking event with music. Oh, that's fun. That's it. Because people tend to think that what people need is music and alcohol, right?
Yeah.
And perhaps beautiful people around. And well, that's a primal design, a desire-ish, because this is the way how we've been programmed, right? Like most of the things that we see online are either naked people or alcohol or any other things, and maybe like your favorite reggaeton artist or hip hop artist just play music online. Um, but the truth is that with the state of humans that we have now, what people are looking for is for meaning. They prefer to go to a rave without alcohol because they want to connect with people while they are sober so then they can have deeper conversations.
Yeah.
They prefer to go to a wellness activities instead of a yacht party because in a wellness activity they can connect with somebody through something they both like, right? They want to be integrated with a specific type of communities around specific topics because they want to find their group, their tribe, the people who are interested in the same things they're interested. So instead of spending money in yacht parties and rooftop parties and whatever kind of thing, people should look, or founders, if they want to connect people to their causes and to their products, they should create lifestyle
Yeah.
moments that connect people and invest their money in that. Bet their money on starting a running club. Bet their money on starting a book club or a reading afternoon or a private dinner with 8 people. That will give you more money. That will give you much more results than any party for 500 people that you want to host.
Yeah. Interesting vision. And what key lessons have you learned from creating events for government and global brands?
I think that three main things that I would say we've learned all these years. And the first one is definitely consistency. Um, One thing that happens is that you think that quality, usually people tend to think that quality is an added value, but in reality, quality is the bare minimum, right? If you have a company for starters, the first thing that you should offer is quality. And that's something that shouldn't be an added value or something that you pride yourself about. It's not, it's what people expect. People
Yeah.
expect you to be the best in the world. That's why they're hiring you. The second thing, and so you need to be consistent and like consistently extraordinary, consistently good, consistently reliable, right? Not once in a lifetime incredible. You need to
Right.
be consistently great. The second thing connected to that is agency. It's very important to have your own opinion, and especially because when you work with global companies or with governments or with people all over the world, they tend to have strong opinions about what they think is right. But if you are the best in the world or what you do, they somehow deep down expect you to have your own opinion to prove them wrong. So that agency, that capacity of making choices and saying, speaking your truth and saying what you really think about something is very important, because that's the only thing that will make you unique. Otherwise, they will put their opinion, you will end up being a supplier of something, and that's it. There is
Yeah.
no space for you to innovate. The third thing that I will say is multipolarity and capillarity. I think that having the capacity to understand that the world is not anymore divided by countries, but it's a world that is connected by communities. That's a very
Yeah.
important thing to understand. The world is not divided by countries, the world is connected by communities. Understanding this will save you years of
Mhm.
learning how to expand your business. Because the more communities you connect with, the easier for you is to interact with the world. You probably don't need to understand everything, but that multipolarity, meaning that you can connect with different aspects of your own lifestyle through different communities, and with that have capillarity, which is the capacity to expand in different industries, is very important. Here it doesn't matter how many contacts you have, how many people you know, how many things you do. What matters is your capacity to connect with people from different avenues of life across the world, because in the end we are all humans and we all have the same needs, the same requirements, the same desires, and we'll have the same illusion to have a better life and to live in a better world.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. And what advice would you give to event organizers looking to create more meaningful experiences?
Mm, well, if we are talking only about event organizers, I would say that the best thing somebody can ever do is to travel and to interact with as many different people as they can. For everybody, inspiration comes from different ways. As an architect, I get a lot inspired by art. I get a lot inspired by people. I get inspired by different things, and all those things that I know are something called contextual education. Conceptual education is the kind of education you receive in your high school, university, and every time you learn something. Contextual education is the one that you receive what you travel, what you connect with people who are different than you, what you experience a new flavor, do something different. Many people just want to learn what's the next technology and the newest thing that is happening. And the newest technology is always created by a human who wanted to do something.
Mhm.
And this is why it's important to understand what's the root of that desire. This is why it's important to travel. This is why it's important to interact with people, because that understanding will help them create more meaningful experiences and different types of activations or moments for people.
Yeah, right. Great advice. And as you wrap up, what's next for Circolo? Any exciting developments on the horizon?
Yeah, so we have a 200-year vision that I even have a tattoo about it. It's called 2222. We launched this vision in the year 2022. It's a 200-year roadmap that signifies our evolution. Again, our obsession is to curate the lifestyle of people, to create moments. This means that, yes, we started curating and organizing community events. We evolved into being a one stop solution. Our next step is to start curating communities in spaces. So you will see a lot of Circolo places worldwide, Circolo takeovers around the major events, experiences curated and created by us in our own line of products that are going to start floating all around the world.
Mhm. Okay. And for listeners who want to learn more or potentially work with Circolo, what's the best way to get in touch?
They can always write us to our email, or they can find us on social media. My email is alb@circolo.life, or in social media, circolo.life. This is all over the place. So you can find Circolo.life on Instagram. Also, our website is Circolo.life. Also on LinkedIn. Also on X. And X is not Circolo.life, it's Circolo.life. But yeah, that's the best way. We are always responding, and all the team is pretty much everywhere. So anytime you write, there's going to be somebody.
Okay, perfect, perfect. So thank you very much for sharing those insights about you and the company as a whole. And thank you for this amazing podcast session.
Thank you so much, Alexander, for the space and the time. Really appreciate it. I'm very, very happy to see you.
Yeah, thank you and see you in the next episode.
See you soon.